I'm Barry Vial. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Liquid Markets, which is the underlying tech to Biteme. And what Liquid Markets does is basically normalize heterogeneous transactions across very intense and disparate environments, if that tells you anything. What it means in English is we make any marketplace much more liquid and much more transparent. In the case of online betting, we think, as the tagline may imply, there's a lot of room for improvement. When you think about online betting, some things come to mind like horse racing, football, boxing, for example. And those are the most popular events, and that's the vast bulk of online betting. And we think we can do better than that. That's also known as the short head of betting. And what we'd like to do through our own special secret sauce and proprietary algorithms is to tap into the long tail of betting. And those are everyday events that are more important to the average person. And we think that that's an equally sized market to the short head. Here's the secret sauce part. When you're making a bet, there's an opportunity cost. Who wants to make a bet on something that no one may take? And that's what happens in long tail markets. So we said, let's apply our algorithms and let people fish in all the ponds at one time. And that's like casting your bait, which is a bet. And when somebody takes your bait, that's a bite. And essentially what we allow that to happen is as your bets are taken, all or part, our system reduces all of your outstanding bets to zero. So there's no risk beyond your original $1. You can make 100, you can make 1,000 if you wanted, $1 bets. So to amplify our multicast betting, which I just described, is the notion of using Vine or such apps that allow you to multicast and really broadcast your smackdown of the competition, your knowledge of the event, or even a capitulation if you lost the event in a personable manner. The rewards come in threefold, actually. We think there's gratification without validation. That is, aggressively asserting a future outcome. We think that's gratifying, especially if you win. And of course, there's also the social uptick in the network of people looking at you for your win-loss ratios. There is also validation, and validation is how well you're entertaining in your 6-second podcast. And you get upvotes for that, and of course trolls are voted out for people trying to game the system. It's a self-policing system. There's also buckification, because we know in the end it's always nice to win a bet and to win a buck, irrespective of the social value. Here's my team. We're half comprised of Liquid Markets computer geeks, and the other half of us are EA Games folks. That's it.
Awesome. All right. I just put a buck on if you're going to win tonight. Okay. All right. We'll start here. Martin.
Yeah, just a little bit more on who pays the buck and how the winner collects and some of that stuff.
Great. Come down here.
So I'm not too familiar with all the legal or regulatory implications of this for facilitating bets between individuals. I'd love to hear more about that. And then also in terms of the marketplace, particularly since you're focused on the really long tail of kind of wagers or bets, that means I think you'd have to have a really large kind of supply and demand on each side of those. And I'd love to hear how you're thinking about building up liquidity or the supply and demand and balancing that, especially for that really long tail of bets on both sides of the marketplace.
Yeah, that's a good question. Tom?
On the buckification, I was curious about the legality, and is there issues on different jurisdictions, and it may be legal to bet on one type of thing. It seems very complicated, and so I'd love to hear about that.
Yep.
I'm kind of unclear about the business model, to be honest. I'm not quite understanding how you make money. So I'd like further clarification on that.
Yeah. The VIG.
I think it's a really interesting idea. I think that the challenge I'm having is with the long tail. It would seem to me that most people would be initiating bets or doing things with their social group, and therefore it feels to me like this would be something that would be done on a social platform and become a feature of that platform, as opposed to being an independent standalone. But I've been wrong many times before, so.
Regulatory, business model, social.
Okay, wow, 30 seconds. Well, for the last comment, there are so many verticals and so little time. You know, we're a back-end engine that, as I said, normalizes heterogeneous transactions. So we do seek a champion in the space. As to, I think your question was, long tail, having the catch-22 of startups, and we really, because there is no opportunity cost and there is validation without the gratification, we contend that the very first person that uses our service is getting value. There isn't the need for balancing the catch-22, the chicken and the egg of we have to have a lot of buyers or a lot of sellers or something like that that plagues a lot of startups. And finally, I would say that many have tried this, and the issue of player liquidity stifled them. And that's what our secret sauce does, is it overcomes player liquidity issues, it overcomes the chicken and the egg dilemma through the very nature of what we do. And then to the buckification, it's virtual money. Until the legal gates fall, it remains virtual money and goes real money whenever and wherever we can.
Got it. All right, so thank you very much for presenting. Bottle of Manifesto.